father so terrified of his own children that he literally eats them alive, a son who castrates his dad with a weapon forged by his own mother, and a family tree so twisted it makes Game of Thrones look like a Disney movie. Welcome to Greek mythology, where therapy wasn't invented yet, and it shows. You think your family WhatsApp group is toxic? Wait until you meet the gods who turned sibling rivalry into cosmic warfare, where grounding your kids meant shoving them back into the womb, and where the phrase "till death do us part" was more like a challenge than a promise. But here's the kicker. This isn't just some ancient soap opera. This is the blueprint for every story you've ever loved, every hero you've ever cheered for, and every villain you've ever feared. And it all started with a love story so messed up, it literally created time itself. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll understand why these 3,000-year-old stories still give us nightmares, and why we can't stop telling them. But first, let's talk about what happens when absolutely nothing decides to become absolutely everything. In the beginning, there was chaos. Not your Monday morning chaos. We're talking about the kind of void that makes a black hole look cozy. Literally nothing. No Instagram, no coffee, no hope, just void. And from this cosmic emptiness emerged the first beings. But here's the mind-bending part that'll keep you up at night. Chaos didn't disappear when the first god showed up. It's still there, lurking beneath everything like that one toxic friend who never really leaves your life. From chaos came Gaia, Mother Earth herself. Think of her as the ultimate Earth Mother, nurturing, life-giving, probably made killer organic smoothies. But don't let the hippie vibe fool you. This woman was plotting her children's patricide before they even learned to walk. Talk about helicopter parenting gone wrong. Then came Uranus, the sky. And folks, this is where things get uncomfortable real fast. Uranus looked down at Gaia and thought, "She's gorgeous, I'll marry her." Plot twist, she was technically his mother. Yeah, you heard that right. The first wedding in history was between a mother and son, and somehow this was just the warm-up act for their dysfunction. These two had kids, lots of them. The Titans, basically the first generation of gods, powerful enough to bench press mountains. But Uranus had daddy issues before daddy issues were even a thing. He was so terrified of being overthrown that he did what any rational parent would do. He shoved his fully grown children back into his wife's womb. Imagine being eternally pregnant with your adult children who are screaming to be released. Gaia was experiencing the world's worst case of empty nest syndrome, except the nest was never empty. But every mother has her breaking point, and Gaia's was about to reshape the universe. Gaia had reached her limit. Her children were trapped, she was in constant agony, and her husband's son was the root of all evil. So she did what any reasonable mother would do. She forged a weapon from her own body and handed it to her son Cronus with the most disturbing instruction in parenting history. Cut off your father's, let's call it his source of power. Now you might think this sounds like a deleted scene from a horror movie, but here's the beautiful irony that'll blow your mind. This act of brutal violence literally created love. When Uranus's blood hit the ocean, it created sea foam, and from that foam emerged Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty and love. So technically, the most gorgeous being in existence was born from an act of castration. The Greeks understood something we've forgotten, that beauty and brutality are dancing partners, not enemies. Cronus became the new king, and you'd think he'd learned from Daddy's mistakes. Spoiler alert, he didn't. The oracle told him that one of his children would overthrow him. His solution? Swallow them whole the second they were born. Picture this nightmare. His wife Rhea holding her newborn baby, watching her husband open his mouth like some cosmic garbage disposal. One by one, her children disappeared. Hestia gone, Demeter gone, Hera gone, Hades gone, Poseidon gone. But here's the thing about immortal kids. They don't die, they just get really, really angry. These children were growing up inside their father's stomach, probably planning the most epic revenge in history. When Rhea got pregnant with her 6th child, she couldn't bear to watch another baby become a snack. So she pulled off the most brilliant con in mythology. She gave birth in secret and handed Cronus a rock wrapped in baby clothes. He swallowed it without even looking. That baby she saved, Zeus, the future king of the gods, the guy who would literally reshape reality. But first, he had to survive childhood while his father thought he was dead. The question that haunted everyone: how do you train to fight a god who's literally eaten your siblings? Zeus grew up in a cave, raised by nymphs on goat milk and honey. Sounds peaceful, right? Wrong. Every single day, this kid knew his brothers and sisters were trapped in their father's stomach while he ruled the world. Imagine that pressure. You're not just the chosen one, you're the only one. But Zeus's first move wasn't violence, it was a jailbreak. How do you make someone vomit up immortal gods? You slip them a cosmic roofie that makes them sick enough to throw up everything they've ever eaten. Rhea disguised herself as a servant and served Cronus, the world's most effective emetic. Out came the stone first, which the Greeks kept as a sacred relic because apparently they were the original collectors. Then, one by one, out came Zeus's siblings, fully grown, fully armed, and absolutely furious about their unconventional childhood. Imagine that family reunion. Hey, I'm your brother you've never met, and I'm here to save you from our father's digestive system. Not exactly Hallmark card material, but here's the thing about divine family reunions. They quickly become war councils. Zeus and his siblings knew they couldn't just ask Daddy to step down. They needed an army. They needed a plan. They needed to turn patricide into justice. Problem: Cronus had the Titans on his side, beings who could literally move mountains like chess pieces. Zeus had his siblings, and a really good origin story. The odds were cosmic level impossible, but deep in the earth, 3 beings were waiting. Beings so dangerous that even Cronus was afraid to release them. They were about to give Zeus a weapon that would change warfare forever. The Titanomachy, the war between the Titans and the gods, wasn't just a battle. It was a 10-year cosmic catastrophe that made World War II look like a pillow fight. Picture mountains being hurled like snowballs, oceans boiling, the sky literally falling. This was what happened when immortal beings decided to settle family disputes with extreme violence. Zeus had a secret weapon, and I mean literally. The Cyclopes, one-eyed giants who'd been imprisoned by both Uranus and Cronus, were the universe's greatest weaponsmiths. In exchange for freedom, they crafted 3 legendary weapons: Zeus's thunderbolt, Poseidon's trident, and Hades' helmet of invisibility. But here's the genius part. These weren't just weapons, they were job descriptions. Zeus got the sky and storm control. Poseidon got the seas and earthquake generation. Hades got the underworld and invisibility powers. The Cyclopes weren't just making weapons, they were designing the corporate structure of the universe. The war was brutal beyond imagination. Atlas, the strongest Titan, literally held up the sky during battles so it wouldn't fall and crush everyone. That's right, someone had to hold up the entire sky, because the fighting was so intense it might collapse. Talk about job stress, but here's where it gets terrifying. The war was so destructive, it woke up something that had been sleeping since the dawn of time. Gaia, desperate to end the carnage, gave birth to the most nightmare-inducing creature ever conceived, Typhon. Picture a monster so massive it could high-five the stars, with 100 dragon heads, eyes shooting fire, and a voice that sounded like every horror movie ever made, playing simultaneously. This wasn't just a monster, this was Gaia's nuclear option, specifically designed to delete Zeus from existence. When Zeus first saw Typhon, even the future king of the gods was terrified. The fate of everything would come down to one battle: order versus chaos, hope versus despair, the future versus the abyss. Typhon wasn't just big, he was apocalyptic with a capital A. When he stretched his arms, he could touch opposite horizons. His dragon head spoke every language that ever existed, and some that didn't. When he walked, the earth cracked. When he breathed, hurricanes were born. The other gods took one look at this cosmic nightmare and did what any reasonable immortal would do. They ran. Even Zeus's siblings abandoned him. Picture it, the guy who'd freed them from their father's stomach, who'd led them to victory against the Titans, and they just left. But Zeus didn't run. He stood alone against the creature specifically designed to end him. This wasn't just a fight, it was a philosophical showdown between everything good and everything terrifying about existence. They fought across the Mediterranean, their battle literally creating islands where Zeus's lightning bolt struck the sea. Mount Etna in Sicily, that's where Zeus finally managed to pin Typhon under a mountain. The volcano still erupts today because Typhon is still trying to escape, still fighting a war that began millennia ago. Zeus won, but barely. He was wounded, exhausted, and completely alone. But this victory taught him something crucial. Ruling the universe wasn't about being the strongest guy in the room. It was about wisdom, alliances, and understanding that some battles are too important to fight alone. With Typhon defeated and the Titans imprisoned in Tartarus, a prison so deep it took 9 days for a stone to fall to the bottom, Zeus became the official ruler of everything. But here's the thing about managing gods. It makes herding cats look like a relaxing hobby. Mount Olympus wasn't just the home of the gods. It was like a reality TV show where everyone had superpowers and serious therapy needs. Zeus thought he'd solved divine conflict by making his siblings his cabinet. Hera became his wife and queen. Poseidon got the seas. Hades took the underworld. Demeter controlled agriculture. Perfect plan, right? It lasted approximately 5 minutes. The problem? Zeus had a wandering eye that could spot attractive mortals from orbit. Hera had a temper that could level continents. Poseidon had an ego the size of his domain. And Hades? Poor guy was just lonely and bitter about getting stuck babysitting dead people for eternity. But here's what made their drama truly epic. When gods fight, reality itself changes. When Hera got angry about Zeus's affairs, she didn't just give him the silent treatment. She sent literal monsters to murder his human girlfriends. When Poseidon felt disrespected, he didn't write a passive-aggressive email. He created tsunamis that wiped out entire cities. The most famous example? The Trojan War started because 3 goddesses couldn't agree on who was the prettiest. Their solution? Make a mortal prince judge a cosmic beauty contest. His choice literally launched 1,000 ships and led to a decade-long war that destroyed one of the greatest cities in the ancient world. But here's the twist that makes these stories timeless. These gods weren't evil. They were us, just with infinite power and zero therapy. Zeus wasn't just a serial cheater. He was trying to balance ruling the universe with personal desires. Hera wasn't just jealous. She was trying to maintain dignity while her husband publicly humiliated her. These flawed beings were dealing with emotions and power on a scale that would break any mortal mind. The genius of Greek mythology, it shows us that power doesn't solve personal problems, it amplifies them into cosmic catastrophes. But it also shows us something beautiful, that even these flawed, complicated beings managed to create order from chaos, hope from despair, and meaning from madness. And then there were the mortals, the humans who looked at these omnipotent gods and said, "Hold my wine, watch this." You'd think with all this divine drama, humans would be extras in their own stories. You'd be dead wrong. Some of the most powerful tales in Greek mythology are about mortals who stood up to gods, outsmarted fate, and changed history through pure courage and cleverness. Take Prometheus, the titan who literally stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. Zeus's punishment, chaining him to a rock where an eagle ate his liver every day for eternity. It grew back each night, so the torture never ended. But Prometheus never regretted his choice. He believed humans deserved the tools to build civilization, even if it meant eternal agony. This is the story that inspired every tale of sacrifice for the greater good, every superhero who gives up their happiness for others, every parent who works 3 jobs for their kids, every person who stands up to bullies. They're all echoing Prometheus's choice. Then there's Pandora, the first woman, created as punishment for humanity receiving fire. She was given a box and one simple rule: don't open it. Of course, she opened it, releasing every evil into the world: disease, war, famine, despair. But here's what everyone forgets: the last thing in the box was hope. Even in punishment, the gods made sure humans would never lose the ability to believe in tomorrow. The hero stories are even more incredible. Hercules completing 12 impossible labors to atone for crimes he committed while literally insane. Theseus navigating a maze to kill the Minotaur and save his city. Perseus slaying Medusa and turning her severed head into the ultimate weapon. But the most fascinating mortal, Odysseus. His 10-year journey home became the template for every adventure story ever told. He wasn't the strongest or fastest hero, he was the smartest. He defeated a Cyclops through wit, resisted sirens through preparation, and made it home not through strength but through pure determination and cleverness. These stories taught the Greeks something profound. While gods control the big picture, humans control their choices. You might not avoid fate, but you can choose how to face it. If these ancient stories got you hooked, smash that like button and subscribe for more mythology that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about storytelling. Drop a comment telling me which Greek god you'd want to grab coffee with, and more importantly, which one you'd definitely avoid at all costs. Trust me, some of these family reunions are best experienced from a safe distance. Next week, we're diving into Norse mythology, where the gods know the world is ending and they're just trying to go out with style. Until then, remember, every family has drama, but at least yours probably doesn't involve cosmic warfare. See you in the next one, mythology lovers.